Okay. So most of the books of fiction we have published were submitted by literary agent for writers they represented. So like that means like more than half of the books of fiction. Like, do you want me to pause at the end of the
Yep, I
sentence?
think that's perfect. Yep, you're good.
Okay.
You can translate now. What you're doing is great.
Okay, so that means like more than half of the books of fiction were submitted by the literary agents for writers they represented. Okay, the rest were received directly from the fiction writers from whom we requested submission. So the remaining were just from the fiction writers.
Mhm.
So no nonfiction manuscripts have been given serious attention. Okay, so that's like none of them, let alone been published, unless, so we know unnecessary is coming.
Yes.
It was from a renowned figure. We had requested the manuscript after careful review of the writer's book proposal.
So did you catch the R there?
Yes, or yeah.
You might have just cut out right when you said that. So yeah, so we're saying, hey, unless it was from a renowned figure, or we had requested the manuscript after careful review. So requested after careful review of the writer's book. That's kind of a long one. And then we have to negate our sufficient. So no nonfiction manuscript has been given serious attention, let alone published. So if it was given serious attention or published, we know that it had to be one of these two things, right? Awesome. So what answers would we cross off here?
I think D. I think D was just like more likely or less likely. We don't really know from the stimulus that we don't know like the who's gonna be more likely or less likely to be considered or whatever.
Yeah,
So,
we have no idea. Like we know like which ones are more likely to actually get published, but we don't know like which ones are more likely or less likely to be considered. Awesome. All right, Ashley, which one would you cross off?
I would cross off E,
All right, why?
because we don't know about the other like unrequested manuscripts. It's saying any of them, and then it only captures like the renowned figures, but we care about the renowned figures and there's like another part that I don't understand this question. I know I don't
think
understand this
E is
question.
very tricky. We're gonna go ahead and skip over E for a second. What would you cross off? We're gonna dive because that one we're gonna have to dive into. What would you cross off, Jessica?
I was looking at C and I was trying to just like quickly just like reference it back to like our little chain. So if a manuscript has been has received careful attention, arrow, it's a work of fiction or from a renowned figure. I don't think we know that. Like
No,
I'm looking,
we don't
know it.
Yeah, we don't ever talk about like if it has received careful attention. The only time we ever bring up careful
It's
attention,
given serious attention.
like, but no, it's saying none has been given serious attention. We're not saying like what has been given serious attention. We just are talking about like what has not been given serious attention. So we don't ever, yeah. So C can't be right. Okay. And technically, couldn't we have given it careful attention if we requested the manuscript after careful review of the writer's book proposal too? It would be another option. That would even more specifically why C was wrong. There's another thing that it could have been. All right, what other ones would we cross off?
I would also say A.
Yeah, why?
Again, we don't know about unrequested manuscripts that are not given serious attention. We only know about like no nonfiction manuscript, like zero nonfiction manuscripts.
Yeah, what if most of their unrequested manuscripts are actually fiction works? Do we know anything about if a majority of those are given serious attention or not?
Mm-mm.
No, we don't know anything about that. All right, Mohib, why is B wrong?
So B is wrong because I think it's kind of confusing the renowned authors in fiction, because renowned authors was talked about for nonfiction manuscripts, and not for books of fiction. So I think that's one of the confusions, and I don't remember exactly why, but
All right, so here we're saying most of the books that are not by a renowned author are fiction. Well, couldn't it be true that most of the books that are not by a renowned author are not like maybe most of the that are not by maybe all of their books of fiction are by renowned authors. We don't know if there's any or not, but maybe like every single book is by a renowned author.
yeah, like we don't like, that's what I was trying to say. Like we don't have the renowned portion. Like we don't know that about for fiction. We know that like about nonfiction, right?
Yeah, and but we
So,
still don't even know what number that is for nonfiction either.
yeah.
This is a way. Awesome. Okay, so Ashley, this is such a hard answer for E. Does anybody know why E is correct?
So I'm gonna take a stab at it. So E is correct because um if we take out from the answer choice, we take out the literary agents. If we take that out, then what's left is just um the books that are actually no, I'm gonna pass. I forgot.
No, this one's tough. I've had to think about it
I
twice.
think I had it, but kind of just lost my thought.
All right, I'm gonna give everyone think about it for like 45 seconds and then we'll come back to it. All right, so this is what we know. So most of the books of fiction we have published were submitted by the agents that they represent, and then the rest of them were that were received directly from that we requested, right? So either they came from the agents or they were requested. That makes up our whole fiction category. So any unrequested manuscripts not submitted by literary agents that the publishing house has published were written by renowned figures, because if for starters, if it's an unrequested manuscript, we automatically have to be talking about nonfiction because whenever we say not submitted by literary agents that the publishing house has published, because that cuts off the other option for fiction books, which is most of the fiction books we have published were submitted by literary agents for writers. So we're saying, hey, if we don't consider these and the rest were requested, so the only ones that could be unrequested, we're now talking about nonfiction. Are we all good up to that point? Awesome. Were written by renowned figures, because if the second half of this is requested, it's like we requested it. So if we cut that off, the only way that we can have a nonfiction book is if it was from a renowned figure. Did everybody stay on track there? That was very wordy even on my end. Would we say we 100% understand that?
I have a question, Nicole. You said are no nonfictions the same as any unrequested? Is that what you said?
Oh yeah. So any unrequested manuscript, by process of elimination, any unrequested manuscript, we have to be talking about nonfiction books, because only if we were, sorry, I'm being confusing. Essentially, we're saying any unrequested manuscript not submitted by literary agents. I'm going to take a step back and go up to this top part where we say most of the books of fiction were either submitted by literary agents, but here we say not submitted by literary agents. So we're not talking about these here, just for this answer choice. So we're saying most of the books of fiction, the rest were received directly from fiction writers from whom we requested submissions. So we're talking about unrequested. So all of a sudden we've crossed off the only two options for fiction books. So I know in E, we're not talking about fiction books. So we're saying an unrequested manuscripts were pretty much written by renowned figures. Well, in order for us to have a nonfiction book, it either had to be requested. To have a nonfiction book, either we had to request the manuscript after careful review of the writer's proposal, which once again, we're talking about unrequested in this answer choice. So we're going to cross that off. So now, so essentially our only option is if it came from a renowned figure, which is what E is saying. Good or no? I know it's hard. Can you, if you don't see it 100%, that's okay, but can you kind of track how we got to there?
Yeah, when you re-explained it, like just by the last portion, like with the renowned figure, that made a lot more sense.
Okay, because this is not directly from the text. You literally have to be able to cross everything else off. And this is a level 5 question. This is as hard as they get.
So like essentially to begin with, to be published, there was only 4 options, and unrequested takes out 2, and then literary agent takes out the other one, and then the only one that's left, the last option, is just the renowned figures one.
Yes, that's a much simpler way to explain what I explained. Great job.